Notes, check. Sunglasses, check. Hat, check. Thick skin, check. Let's go. Golden Blue Dude back with another video just for the college football fan. So hit that like and subscribe button if you are a college football fan. And go check out our Patreon page when you get a chance. A lot of perks over there. And don't forget our score prediction contest will start back up again in September. Every week we award $20 to whoever gets the closest to the exact score prediction of the game that I pick. The higher the Patreon, the more guesses you get. And you can win as many times as you want. Also, $5 and up Patreons get to pick the live stream that we're going to do. And you get to watch the game with me. And we have a great website designed and created by Joey Foster. Today I wanted to talk about the big changes at Oklahoma and how it affects the Big 12. We already know that Lincoln Riley packed up his bags and went over to USC, took Caleb Williams and Mario Williams with him over to USC and has been trashing Oklahoma as well. But how does this affect Oklahoma? What did they lose? What did they gain? And what type of season will they have this year after a crazy offseason? Now, for Oklahoma since 2000, they've been an incredible program. 14 Big 12 titles since the year 2000. A top 5 overall winning percentage, but just one national championship. And Brent Venables was asked about that question. Oklahoma's been close so many times, and they are a consistent winning program, but they are just short of being like a super elite program winning a national championship on a regular basis. What Brent Venables had to say was a little more time and energy and focus and effort and money. He quietly slipped that word money in there. I see you, Brent Venables. And more efficiency. It just takes a little more. He's talking about that little bit that separates being really, really good to elite winning a national championship. And let me tell you something. Brent Venables knows what he's talking about. He won 2 national championships as the defensive coordinator at Clemson. So he does know what it takes to win a national championship. It's not like Oklahoma went out and got a coach that has potential but doesn't know how to win. Brent Venables knows how to win. He's had that feeling of winning a national championship. That's something that people are not talking about enough when it comes to Brent Venables. So here's all the big names that Oklahoma lost in the offseason. Wide receiver Jaden Hasselwood, quarterback Caleb Williams, quarterback Spencer Rattler, wide receiver Mario Williams, tight end Austin Stogner, and linebacker Jamal Morris. But Oklahoma did finish number 4 in the transfer portal. So they did get some talent, including 4 4-stars. The biggest names: defensive lineman Jeffrey Johnson from Tulane, defensive lineman Jonah Lalula from Hawaii, offensive lineman McCade Mature from Cal, and of course quarterback Dillon Gabriel. That was a big pickup because the biggest question mark was going to be at quarterback. I mean, they lost both of their quarterbacks from last year in Caleb Williams and Spencer Rattler. So getting a quarterback like Dillon Gabriel was a must for Oklahoma. Here's how Dillon Gabriel has done so far from 2019 to 2021. 554 for 913, that's 60.7%, 8,037 yards, 70 touchdowns, and just 14 interceptions. Slight dual threat quarterback, 167 carries for 372 yards, that's 2.2 yards a carry, and 8 touchdowns. I think Dillon Gabriel will be a very effective quarterback at Oklahoma. And I do think Oklahoma will have a say as to who plays in the Big 12 championship, whether it's Oklahoma themselves or whether it's 2 other teams that play against each other like last year, Baylor versus Oklahoma State. Oklahoma will have something to say about it. The good news for Oklahoma fans is that your schedule sets up quite nicely for you. Even though I think you take a slight step back because of all the crazy changes in the offseason, this is a good season to have during a big transition period like that. So let's take a look at Oklahoma's schedule. First, they get UTEP at home. UTEP is a decent group of 5, but that's a win for Oklahoma. Then they get Kent State at home. That's an easy win for Oklahoma. Then a road trip to Nebraska. This is a tricky and tough road trip for Oklahoma. I have this as a 50-50, and I do have Oklahoma losing to Nebraska. Look, I think Nebraska is going to be a much better team this year. I mean, last year, yes, they went 3-9. All but one of those losses was by 1 possession. And the only game that wasn't a 1-possession loss was a 9-point loss to Ohio State. Nebraska was really, really close. They just had to figure out how to win those 50-50 football games. And I think this year they do take that step. I think they have a great quarterback in Casey Thompson. I think he's an underrated quarterback. If you look at his stats from last year, he actually had a pretty good year. So I think Nebraska has the tools to take that step forward and win these 50-50 football games. And it's on the road for Oklahoma early in the season. Very hostile environment. I think this is a close loss for Oklahoma. After that, they come back home to Kansas State. This could be the game that determines your season because Kansas State is more than capable of beating Oklahoma in Norman. They've done it before. However, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Oklahoma. 50-50 win for Oklahoma. But Kansas State is a sleeper team to win the Big 12. So that's why I don't have that as an automatic win. I have it as a 50-50 win. Now, if that goes the other way and Kansas State wins that game, that could set the stage for Oklahoma having a much more down season than what I realized. But I'm giving Oklahoma the win there. After that, they go on the road to a bad TCU. In fact, I think TCU could finish last in the Big 12 this year. So that is an automatic win for Oklahoma. Then they get Texas and Dallas for the Red River rivalry. That's a 50-50 football game, of course. But I think Oklahoma is the slightly better team. It's going to be a back and forth game pretty much like it is every single year. I just don't trust Steve Sarkisian yet. I mean, he went 5-7 in his first year. And I think it was a big mistake to fire Tom Herman and bring in Steve Sarkisian. That decision by Texas made no sense whatsoever. I'm giving Oklahoma a 50-50 win in that football game. After that, you get Kansas at home. Kansas is going to be better, and I think Kansas does not finish bottom of the barrel. I think they're more of a 4-8 team this year. I would think they win a few Big 12 games in the regular season this year. But for this game, Oklahoma wins. Then they get their bye week. After that, they go on the road to Iowa State. Any other year, I'd probably give Iowa State the win because of the big transition for Oklahoma. But the more I look into Iowa State, the more I'm convinced that they're not going to be a very good football team. They might make a bowl. And I think that's their ceiling for 2022. So I think Oklahoma goes on the road and beats Iowa State in a close 50-50 win. After that, they come back home to Baylor. The key thing here is home. If this was on the road, I'd give the 50-50 win to Baylor. But it's in Norman, and up to this point, they would have only one loss. I think Oklahoma would win this 50-50 close football game. After that, they go on the road to West Virginia. And y'all already know, I think West Virginia breaks the streak of Oklahoma since joining the Big 12 and beats Oklahoma this year. However, I don't think it's a given win. I think it's a 50-50 win for West Virginia. So I'm going to say 50-50 loss for Oklahoma. West Virginia made some big time moves in the offseason, and they're going to have actual talent on their offense. And that's what they've been missing all along. Their defense has been fine, but the offense has been atrocious. If they can just have an average offense, West Virginia is going to flip a lot of their 50-50 football games. And I think West Virginia has an above average offense this year. I think West Virginia breaks the streak. 50-50 loss for Oklahoma. After that, Oklahoma State at home. Look, I think Oklahoma State takes a significant step back this year. Using their defensive coordinator and some key pieces on defense is gonna hurt the Cowboys. This is a rivalry, and Oklahoma State's still gonna be a decent team. I have them firmly getting to a bowl, maybe an 8-4 or a 9-3 type of season, but this is in Norman, so Bedlam goes to Oklahoma in my opinion. I'm giving the 50-50 win to Oklahoma. And then finally at Texas Tech, I think Texas Tech could be competing for last place in the Big 12 this year. I think Texas Tech messed up last year firing Matt Wells. In the year he was actually turning things around. When he was fired, they were 5-2. After that, they just won one more regular season game. So Texas Tech is back from rebuilding from the ground up. I'm giving the win, not even a 50-50 win, to Oklahoma. So that has Oklahoma finishing 10-2. However, just one of those losses would be in the Big 12, and that would be on the road to West Virginia. So I think Oklahoma would still get to the Big 12 championship and have a shot to win the Big 12 title because they would just have one loss. Now, whether they would play Baylor, Oklahoma State, West Virginia, I don't know. But if this happens, Oklahoma once again is going to the Big 12 championship, and that's not a bad deal for a team that's supposedly supposed to be in rebuild mode after a crazy offseason. And then after Brent Venables gets year one underneath his belt, I see Oklahoma getting better and better and better, even in the SEC. Remember, Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator for Clemson. He knows how to beat SEC teams, including Alabama. I know this is going to be more of a week in and week out type of situation, but I have no worries for Oklahoma going into the SEC. Texas, that's a different story. I'm extremely worried for Texas going into the SEC. So y'all let me know what you think about Oklahoma in 2022. Do you think that they will have a say in the Big 12 title race? And do you think they get to the Big 12 championship and possibly win it? And as usual, I look forward to your comments in the comment section. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.